Well, y'all, I had just made a video about Belle Delphine and an update with her. If y'all are interested, feel free to go check out that video. And before we get into this one, I just want to say I drink a coffee every morning, and I do prefer cold coffee over hot coffee. So I decided to go down to the store and grab myself a cold Starbucks caramel glass bottled coffee. I get home, everything was fine. I crack it open and I took a sip, and I was like, that's really weird. Like, I feel like I just drank something that I wasn't supposed to drink. Like, there was something, like a chunk or something in that coffee. And I was like, you know what, maybe it's just me, because like my mom plays tricks on me all the time. So I was like, you know what, it's me, I'm being dramatic, I just woke up, I need to drink this coffee. So I sit down to do some work, and I go to take another sip of the coffee, and as I'm putting it up to my face, I look in it, and there's just white chunks all through this bitch. Y'all, when I tell y'all, I was gagging. So yeah, that's been my morning. It's great. Nausea and stomach pains aside, there is a TikToker who recently exposed an arrogant, psycho, crazy old woman on the train, and the situation really escalated for no reason other than the fact that this older woman was quite literally just being a Karen. Now, the TikToker who posted these videos originally is Josephine Allery. I hope I'm saying her name right. And let me just say, wow, that profile picture is like, she's a photogenic queen. But she was saying in this video how basically, and y'all, when I tell y'all, this video got millions of views over on TikTok. I mean, the update for this, the original video was deleted, but the updated video for this that she had posted had 11 million views, which means that the first video had to have at least garnered 15 to 20. Like, there has to be millions. Anyway, the situation is, before I dive into it, I'll give y'all a brief recap. This woman basically got on the train to go home. She says she does this every night. She works the night shift, and she was just getting back on the train to go home when she sat in front of this older woman who just was sitting there normally at first. But then when she sat down, the woman was saying, can you move? Like, I wanted to put my feet on that chair, which is terrible etiquette. I don't think you should be putting your dirty feet that's been walking the streets in New York on a chair that somebody's going to be sitting down on, but that's just my personal opinion. Anyway, it got out of hand from here because when the lady refused to move, saying, look, like, no, like, I just sat down, I plan to sit here, the lady continued to put her feet on her and quite literally wrap around her legs. But let's just get into the video.
Every single night at 9:50, I head to work. Mind you, I live in Harlem, New York City, and my job is in Connecticut. So I gotta take the Metro North to go to Connecticut for my job every single night. Per usual, on my route home, I hop on the train. At this time of the night, it is always pretty packed, so I gotta go to the first few train cars in order to find a seat. It was slim pickings because, again, it was busy. So I decided to sit in front of this older lady. The second I sit down, she leans into me and goes, can you move to the seat next to you? And I look at her puzzled and I'm like, why? She goes, because I want my feet where you're sitting. I didn't answer, I just looked at her, kind of like. She goes, so, are you gonna move? And I looked at her, I said, no, I'm not moving. She's like, why not?
Now, me personally, what I would have done is, if she was asking me kind enough and the seat was available, I would switch. But at the same time, you shouldn't be putting your feet on seats that people are going to be sitting down on anyway. Just my personal opinion, especially public transportation. You don't know what you're stepping on, and you're just going to put your seat where somebody is going to place their bum. That's just a no-no, in my opinion. But this woman clearly had some form of, like, attitude of vindication towards her, because she's like, can you move? Like, I was going to put my feet here, like, can you move? I wouldn't have moved either. And again, she stated it was slim pickings. It's New York. The subcarts were very, very busy, so it's not like she just had access to an open-ended amount of seats that she could choose from. If she had to sit next to this woman anyways, apparently there wasn't that many seats to choose from. What really bothers me nowadays about a lot of individuals out there walking this earth, or more so plaguing this earth, is the entitlement and the audacity that they fucking have.
So as she's sliding down the seat, she is now sliding so her feet are invading my personal space. And she is now touching me with her feet against my legs. And I thought at first it was an accident. Thought nothing of it. I was like, okay, maybe she just doesn't realize how close she is to me. I bring it up to her and I ask her, I was like, sorry ma'am, but you're touching me. I would really appreciate if you would not do that. She said, oh, well, you're sitting where I want my feet, so I'm going to continue to touch you until you move.
You can't place your arms, hands, feet, legs, tongue, hair, body, nothing. You can't touch somebody who doesn't want you to touch them. Okay? This needs to be a Mr. Garrison moment. Just like a, hey, can you not touch me? Okay? Like, just don't touch somebody. Damn. I once before was a public transportation girly. Yeah, I know, right? Fun. It was awesome. Incredible. Every fucking time. I hated it. But when I lived in a certain part of the United States, they had public bus transportation that I used to take to work because honestly it was a lot easier than driving for me. And I know what y'all are thinking, but it was a really chaotic place to live. I did not like driving in the city, so I preferred to take public transportation rather than trying to drive and parallel park on the side of the road where people would quite literally just box your little car in and you'd have to sit there for hours, because I actually did once. I had to sit there for 3 freaking hours after I stopped for lunch and could not attend work for the rest of the evening because somebody had parked my car in, and I could not unparallel that bitch. I don't know if y'all ever took a public bus transportation, but there's usually like steps that you go up halfway through the bus and it takes you to the back end of it, and it's usually like a little bit more elevated than the front end of it. I hope this makes sense. And I like to sit in that very back spot right up the stairs and to either the left or the right in one of those first seats so I can like kind of see. I don't know. It's just, I'm sure it was where I like to sit. And I had this one time where a group of older ladies, it was like 3 or 4 of them, I can't remember. It was like a good sized little group. They had went grocery shopping. They came in with their little pull cart buggy, bunch of bags in their hands. And I actually stood up and helped one of them because like they had like a Walmart grocery bag like that you buy to like take your groceries home, and like the reusable ones, and it was getting stuck on the thing, and I was like, oh, this poor older woman. So I got up and helped her, and she ended up taking the seat that I was in, and she seen me clearly get up to help her just to sit down and take my seat. So I decided to just take my seat back. So I sat down in the seat beside her where she had took my original spot. So I sat down in the seat next to her where she should have sat if she wanted to sit. But anyway, when I sat down, she had an issue with that, saying, oh, like, I was going to sit with my friends, and I was going to put my bags here and this, that, and the third. And I was like, all this space on the bus.
I say, I'm becoming very uncomfortable. I would really appreciate if you moved your feet and stopped touching me. She again said, she's like, I'm going to do what I want because you're sitting where my feet should go. She picks up her one foot, puts it to the left of me on my thigh, and is now wrapping her foot around my ankle. So clearly, because she's old, she must have not heard me the first 2 to 3 times I had asked her to please stop touching me and leave me in my space alone. So now I'm yelling. So now everyone on the train can hear the situation, because you're not going to make me uncomfortable like that, and you're not going to invade my personal space and harass me.
A law or a legal expert, but I'm pretty sure in America it's considered assault whenever you touch somebody, whether it's with your hands or your feet. If they don't want to be touched and you're repeatedly touching them, I'm pretty sure that's considered assault. And I think it's nice of Josephine to kind of try to give her the benefit of the doubt. Like, okay, maybe she's older, she didn't hear me. Maybe she's just in her own little world. Maybe I have to be like a little bit louder to let her know. But the fact that she said, no, you're sitting where my feet should go. Missy, ma'am, this is public transportation. If you want a spot for your feet, Missy, ma'am, Missy, Karen, bring a box with you and place it on the floor in front of your seat, and then maybe you can prop your feet up on it. That's crazy, isn't it? Again, it's public transportation. Those seats are made for sitting. They're made for people's bums to sit flatly on them, not for your feet. It's not a footrest. Maybe I feel sick to my stomach because I drink a coffee with a chunk in it. Oh my God, I'm trying not to think about it. But this woman is stretched out so far, she's given herself a damn double chin. Like, she's really stretching here. And placing that dirty fucking mongrel foot on this woman's jeans. I'm getting enraged. I'm not a people person, okay? And I really like my personal space. And if I ever went in public for somebody to put their fucking foot on me, I think we'd both end up crying by the end of the day.
You were actually harassing me. You were touching me without my consent. Do you realize that?
She really just said, hey, you're touching me without my consent. Can you please stop? And the woman's like, oh, I'm sorry, sweetheart. What? I was always taught growing up to respect your elders, because as you age up like the good little sim that you are, you get more wisdom. So I was told to respect elder folks and to, just be kind to them. I think that people nowadays in this generation in 2024 just totally left that memo behind. Hey, Josephine, just pipe down, Missy, ma'am, and respect your elders. Let that woman put her dirty fucking feet on you. I mean, this is sickening.
I just sit here. Your feet were in your space. Please, thank you.
I think you should stop the train for her.
You decided to move your feet and touch me. Get your feet off of me! How fucking dare you? You're 75? You should be fucking ashamed of yourself. You were acting like a child.
Calm down, Josephine. Don't insult children with common sense and basic respect. I feel like saying that this elderly woman who said that she was 75, calling her and saying that she's acting like a child is just disrespectful and an insult to all children who won't act like this. I mean, I know children can act out too. I've seen the videos of kids on a plane where they're like kicking the back of a seat and the parents not even doing nothing. They're just letting their child harass somebody in front of them on the plane who's just trying to mind their business and paid for that seat just to have it kicked. Now, I do have an issue with that, but to say that this woman who clearly knows what she's doing and is not a child and has the capacity to function higher rates at processing feelings, emotions, basic fucking human action, there's no excuse to be putting her fucking dirty toes on a woman.
These are empty seats. There's plenty of space. You did not decide to do this until I sat here. You were the one causing the issue. You decided that you're all high and mighty, you gotta sit in your high pedestal, and when I decided to come sit here, you decided to cause the problem. And you were still touching me.
It looks like Rogue Grandma is recording Josephine, which I wonder how that can go given that she's the one who's in the wrong. Wouldn't that be absolutely bizarre if there was a plot twist and this elderly woman had a TikTok account to which she was posting this to? I've seen this so many times where somebody's in the wrong and they decide to film them being in the wrong, and it's just kind of like, how is that going to do any justice for you filming yourself assaulting somebody?
If you continue to sit there, I will. You'll be fine. Look at all the seats right there.
So let me get this straight. The woman here Josephine, who was filming this and saying like, hey, I just wanted to sit down on the seat, and this elderly woman in front of me kept putting her foot on me because she was saying she wants my seat for a footrest. But then this woman decided to say, hey, look at all those seats right there. Like, you can't move over there because I want to put my feet here. No, it's public transportation. Again, if you want a seat where you can place your feet, I don't know, find one that's empty. But again, that's bad etiquette to be, in my opinion, placing your feet on the seat. I don't know, but y'all, she should move. If she's the one who's so pissed off about the seating arrangement, she should move.
You are the one who was harassing me. You were touching me without my consent. You're touching me. Get the fuck off of me.
Well, I consider myself an adult because technically I'm of age where you consider one an adult, but I feel my teenager angst coming out because me as a teenager, if this would have happened to me, jail time. I'm just kidding. But in all seriousness, I would have flipped out. I could never be Josephine. I could never be Josephine. Just, you're pissing me off. Stop putting your feet on me. You're pissing me off. That shoe would have been flung through the subway cart.
Stop it!
Finally.
What's the issue? Your feet are still right there. Like my feet here, they're in my space. You're taking up the entire area. This does not belong to you. That seat you paid for does. Not right here. This is where I paid for so I can sit.
When I put my feet up, I'm going to put them up.
No, the fuck you're not. And I hope he's got a cop on the train. Yeah.
So sorry for the quality of this text image that I have screenshotted, but I will read it for you. It says, at this point, I have my hands up over my head and I'm trying to focus on my breathing because I felt like I was about to have a panic attack. I feel so freaking bad for Josephine. She went to work. She wants to go home. She had to pay for that fucking train to sit on that damn seat. And a woman is shoving her feet all over her. That is dirty. That is disgusting. 2, she paid for that seat. 3, you have no right to do that. 4, you paid for your seat, so sit in your seat, missy ma'am. This started from such a petty thing. The woman wanted to place her feet on the seat that the woman decided to sit down in and said, hey, can you move to a different seat? If you wanted to place her foot on a seat, I think that she would have had her foot on a seat before she would have sat down. It's really interesting that after she sat down, that's when the woman decided, oops, I want to place my feet where you just sat. I didn't want to before, but now that I see that the seat's taken, I want to put my feet there. It does not work like that. The entitlement.
I'm sorry that this is happening. No, you can't be that sorry. I'm not that sorry.
freaking lady is so irritating. Do you want some crackers? Just eat a cracker. I know I just put my feet all over you and it's disgusting, but just eat a cracker and forget that I did that. Lady, I'm so frustrated. This old bloke just really started this entire situation by harassing this woman, placing her feet on her whenever she didn't even have her feet in that seat in the first place. And as soon as she decided to sit down in that seat, I'm gonna put my feet here. It doesn't work like that. That's called entitlement. But then it's second to blow this whole situation up by continuing to place your feet on this woman to the point where she gets heavily upset, almost has a panic attack. And then you're like, look at this poor soul. Like, guys, do you see her having a panic attack? Like, I'm so sorry you have to witness this. Like, lady, you caused this in the first place. And to say, hey, I see you're having a panic attack. Do you want a cracker? Fuck off.
She's fine now. She's calmed down.
No, I'm still not okay. I'm just trying to have an anxiety attack. Please.
You just have to separate, that's all. It's all good.
I'm going to put my feet up eventually. She's not going to like it. She doesn't move. But right now we're fine.
So this is blown out of proportion, so much so that the conductor had to walk out and be like, what the hell is going on? Like, are y'all good? And the old lady's like, oh, we're fine. She's fine now. She wasn't before. And I'm not gonna put my feet up, but I will eventually. And she's not gonna like it. She's gonna have this little meltdown again, aren't you, Missy? You are this old lady, she's so unlikable. It's bizarre. Actually, it's not that far-fetched. It's TikTok.
So the situation had escalated to the point where the conductor grabbed the cops because what I was doing clearly wasn't doing anything. I know. But I am a person who has very severe anxiety. So I was getting to the point where I was having a panic attack. The police came and was trying to talk to me. And I gotta say thank you to the woman that was sitting behind that hag who stood up and told the cops what was happening, because I was in full-blown panic attack mode. I couldn't verbalize anything. And whilst I'm having a panic attack and I can't speak, I'm crying because I'm overwhelmed, this lady is mocking me for being anxious and talking shit while I'm trying to talk to the cops about what's going on and what she's doing to me and how she's harassing me and even probably even assaulting me at that point.
Now, as somebody who has chronic anxiety, like, I struggle leaving my house. I feel like whenever I go to the grocery store and I have to stand in a really long line, I truly disassociate. Like, I just stand there, not even in my own mind, just trying to get checked out so I can get back in my vehicle and get home. I have bad anxiety about going out in public, and this is why I say public transportation ain't for me anymore, and neither are people. So I try to stay away from people as much as possible. But I understand getting a panic attack, especially if it starts out of anger, because usually that anger, if you're anxious, turns into so many other emotions that you can't even process that original feeling that you had, and it leads to this attack that this woman's having. And to see that caused from such an arrogant shit like that old woman, it is so frustrating, because she should know how to act at this point. That's all I'm saying.
But it got to the point where they ended up diffusing the situation as best as they could. She pretty much got a slap on her fucking wrist of don't do it again, and they walked me to a different area to sit instead of removing her.
That's truly so sad, and I've seen it happen so many times on the police body cam videos. I watch a lot of those over here on YouTube, and I see it so many times where sometimes instead of trying to de-escalate the situation with the person who is escalating it, they'll just take the other person away who really didn't start the situation. They were also trying to diffuse it by saying, hey, like, why don't we just not do this? And they'll take the sane people out of the situation, because it's easier to deal with the same people than to deal with somebody so irrational such as that old woman. I don't know if like her age or her gender had anything to do with this, but I'm sure if that was a boy in the seat or a young woman in the seat and they were doing that to each other, I'm sure they would have been arrested. But I don't know. That's just my thoughts and opinions. And this is New York, and I have friends who live in New York, and I know that it usually is a slap on the wrist whenever it comes to certain crimes. And to me, that's just like, why? But Missy Ma'am Josephine made that update video that has 11 million views on it, which is like absolutely bizarre that it's just the update. Like, the original one had to have been like stacked up there with views. But she had talked about in this update how she has this woman's name, okay, and wanted to try to get her on like harassment or something, like she wants to be left alone when she commutes. And they were saying like, oh, tough shit, there's nothing we can do about it.
I found out who the woman was. I have her name. And with that information, plus having my video of proof, I went to the police to try and file a report for harassment and assault. Unfortunately, they said that they can't do anything to help. The fact that she did not inflict any physical harm on me. I'm not hurt. She did not harass me, saying she wanted to unalive me, or anything malicious in that sense. That was a deep verbal threat, essentially. And they said that, technically speaking, it is out of their jurisdiction as NYPD to handle the situation because there are police officers on the MTA North trains that deal with things like that. So if I was overlooked by the police officers on the train and they did nothing in the situation, then that is what it is, essentially. They're like, we can't do anything.
It's pretty scary to think about and honestly kind of hard to comprehend. How do New Yorkers stay safe? So you can just commit certain low-level crimes on the subway and have no repercussions because it happened on the subway? But the internet's the internet, and people were turning into literal keyboard warriors, and they were like, well, if the police aren't going to do anything about it and you have the name, give it to us. Let the internet handle it. And she was like, no, like, that's unethical. I don't know if I'm going to do that.
Honestly, I can't argue. I can't argue with this because justice should be served, but I can't be the one to give you the name because that would be improper of me. And I say that because not everybody, but there are people who would probably take this to an extreme, and I don't want any threats. I don't want any unaliving threats. I don't want people harassing her because two rights don't make a wrong. So on my end, I don't want anything coming back to me that is ill if my intentions are not ill.
Yeah, I think she handled this incredibly well. I think she was super sweet the entire time, even when she was cussing at the old woman, because the old woman was absolutely being bizarre. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. But anyways, with that being said, this situation is absolutely crazy, and if there is any more updates, I'm going to cover it. But with that being said, I want to know your thoughts and opinions about the situation down below. Who do you think was in the wrong? I think Josephine was in the right. And with that being said, I'll catch y'all in the next video.